everyone, welcome to Rowan's Guitar Labs. Thank you for watching the last video. I know they ain't been the best, but I'm just trying to give you a bit of information about notes and delve actually into the chord. Today's episode's about the D major again. I'm going to talk how if you sus the major note scale, you can make your own music. You don't need a teacher, you become your own teacher basically. So we're going to keep on the D. If you don't know a D, I do a video and I explain about the D triangle, the notes in the D, and even the scale. I'll put the scale back up here. So it's a D major, the D, and that's the front of the triangle. And you go open on the E on the high, F sharp your third, and you go G, A, B, C sharp to the D. And then if you go on the second string, on the B string, we discussed the C in the pattern last episode. If you start on the D position on the second string, still do the 2, and then the 1, 2, 2, 2, 1. And on your fifth note, so you got your G string, and then you're pinching an A. So you're pinching an A, F sharp, and the D. And if you take that D away and make a small pinch there, like a little bar, that becomes a D major, Dmaj7. And sometimes I actually hold my D like that, so you can then reach up for your A note on the fifth. And it's interesting because just under the A is the D. And then just below that D, or I should say up, is a G. G, D, A on the fifth. So I'm going to do a 3-chorder, and we're just going to make a song up as I go along. I'm going to use a D major, and I'm going to add a bit of spice to it. And all I'm doing, if you can see that, I'm just hitting my thumb on the... I'm flicking up with my little fingers. And on the G major, add the F sharp, and then you make a G major. But you're only going to do that on your second chord. On the A, you're not going to. On the A, you're not going to flatten the. You're not going to use the 7th note in an A scale. You're going to go. You're going to, at the end of the A scale, you're going to go into a G, which will be the end of a harmonic scale in an A major, but we're not going to get that far yet. But all I'm looking for is F sharp for that D major. And I know the G's in the scale, I know the A's in the scale, I know the B's in the scale, I know the C sharp's in the scale, and I know the D. And here's a nice little one. If you're on the 10th fret, pinch the 10th fret with your pinky, and that'll be a D note, same as the low E. If you go just behind, it's the 7th note in a D scale, always just behind that D. Yeah? And then if you know that's the 1 drop, you know behind it it's going to be at least 2 drops, but on the D we know that goes back to the G, back to the F sharp, open for the E, up to the second on the D, or the fourth open on the D. Same on the D, the fourth string, you go D, and all that is the same pattern as we use on the C major scale. It's easier to explain in the C major because you've got all major notes. But on the D scale, like I've just explained, D, E, F sharp, G, A, B, C sharp, D. So this is when you come to your first sharp notes, and we'll call them sharps. You could call them the flats, but we're not going to keep them as a sharp. And I'm just going to make a little song, or make some song words up in my head, but it's important to stay on the major scale if you're learning your ear, because you train it. Another D note there. You could go all the way down the string, but when you've been down the string, you know it's going to be behind there. And it's all about knowing in a scale what them drop notes are, and you know it's the last note off the D. So off that high D, you can play them two strings there. And then you can go up them, because that's your major D on an E shape in a cage position. So if you're on D, C, A, G, E, D, it's the last one in a cage shape. So C, A, G, E, D, that's your D at the high end, and then you're going to start again on D, C, A. No, that's A actually, so your C is going to clearly be there. And then you're going to go A, then you're going to go G, then you're going to go E, then you're going to go back to your D. And that's the cage. And it don't matter where you are on the cage system, like C, A, G, E, D. But we don't want to get the C scale mixed up in this video. I just wanted to talk dominantly about the D major. And try and flick with your fingers. And try and get your finger to go on the... Bring the A in. Another important one as well, on the third you won't, if you're on the A, you won't step back on an A note, you'll step back to a G note. Or use the major note. It's important to just know the cage system, so if you're on the 7th fret, just hold the G shape. See when the morning's blue, see when the crazy's out to get you, my friend. I'll be there soon, get no harm. And it goes through, it goes through. Oh, hold it out when the morning comes. There's things that I remember, there's things I said to you, there's things that I forget, and there's things that I regret. I hope this is helping, and give me a like at least, just to let me know if this video's helped anybody. Just so I know in my mind, but if not, I'll just keep posting them anyway. Just remember that F sharp in a D major, if you're playing a 1, 4 and 5, and just know that D major note, add it to the 2nd chord, which would be your G major, but on the A chord, don't use a major 7, use a flat 7, which will be the G, and then from that G you can go back to your major 7 in a G scale, and then back to the D, or like the A string, A, D string, D, E, F, sharp, G, A, B, C sharp, D. And then you've got your, on the 5th fret, you've got D there and a D there. Back into the G shape. But it's not a G shape, but in the cage system that would be the G shape. Now that would be the A shape, and or you go to your major scale.